Had a chance to watch it when it first came out, and pretty much everything I was afraid of it being, it is. And it's definitely woke, definitely heavy on, the left wing politics. So if you're not into that, might not be a good watch for you. But I don't know. I still got a little bit of laughs out of it just because of how woke it is. But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about it. This is going to be a spoiler review, and gotta say, the first minute and 29 seconds, it starts with the woke stuff, and it literally has this one dude sole purpose in the scene is just to be bagged on. He's just some attorney dude, and right away, I think as a paralegal, the lady's playing, and she just turns to him and says, "You are not helpful," and then literally about 15 seconds later, slams the door on him and basically just, disrespects him when they're, I guess, are asking for his opinion. But I don't know. I don't know the context. Maybe there's some history there. He was a douchebag to her or whatever the case is. But the show doesn't really start off strong. Um, she does start talking the fourth wall, and I've done some research, and I guess in the comic books, she's the first one who talked in the fourth wall. So maybe that's the reason why they're doing it. But it doesn't come off very natural, kind of like in Deadpool, where it does seem like it comes off very natural and it mixed really well with the story. Here, it really doesn't, to be honest with you. Not only that, like within the first like 3 minutes of the show, they start talking about uh, well, Hulk, Bruce Banner, and She Hulk, that's played by Tatiana Maslany. They're in the car and they're talking about Captain America being a virgin, and right away you're kind of like, okay, but I mean, at the end it does have kind of a payoff. I kind of chuckled at, but I'm just curious why she's so interested in that subject. But I guess it was just for a joke. Um, Hulk's wearing this Hulk bracelet that's keeping him from being, the Hulk, I guess, keeping him his human form. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I guess it's okay. I do have some questions though. How does it work? Is it like stopping the blood part, of the gamma mixing, you know, stopping the transformation? That's, a little bit of question marks there, but I guess I'm okay with it. Um, I don't know, I don't know about the origin though, to be honest with you. Like how she becomes She-Hulk. Like in the comic books, excuse me, she gets shot. And it's kind of like a compelling storyline because in the comic book, she gets shot. And the reason why she gets shot while, I guess, being with her father, from what I understand, by mobsters. And I feel like there's a missed opportunity. Like, you could have, started the show off that way where, even though it's the same origin as the comic books, it's fine. It's a good origin. The mob's after her father. She has a key witness or whatever that's linked to her, she being an attorney, and the mob goes after her and her father. She gets shot. And in the comic books, because she gets shot in the whole, situation and emergency of the situation, Bruce, not thinking of his blood being contaminated, gives his blood to save Jen's life. Like, that's a lot more compelling than getting in a car accident because of a Sakar ship. Um, and that Sakar ship, for whatever reason, making him get in a car accident, almost killing him. That's besides the point. But she goes to pull Bruce out of the car, and Bruce's blood accidentally goes into a small cut on her left hand, I believe, or left wrist. And that's how she becomes She Hulk. Now, that's within 5 minutes of the show is showing that origin, Cap being a virgin, yeah, showing a douchebag that this disrespected. I mean, with all within 5 minutes, and it just seems like they're really rushing it. Like they didn't have to like rush the origin. Like you're doing a TV show, like you didn't have to like. I don't know why they're rushing all the interesting parts. But she turns in to the Hulk, and we cut to fade to black, and she's at this like bar nightclub thing, and immediately, she's in the bathroom. She gets help by some women, I think, and like 7 minutes in, she walks out of the bar after being helped by the ladies in the bathroom, and she's already getting like catcalled, and by like these three dudes. And to be honest, I mean, it wasn't like, yeah, they might have been bothering her a little bit, but they might have, tried to get her attention like maybe two or three times, and then she gets angry and turns into the Hulk. It's like, what is that saying? Like you can't go up to women and try to say hi. Like, is it wrong to do that nowadays? Like, I mean, maybe if you try to like touch her, like try to stop her from leaving, I can understand maybe being a little pissed and then turning into the Hulk, but it wasn't even like that. But I don't know. So right away, I mean, with like 7 minutes, it's pretty heavy on the woke stuff. But so Hulk saves those gentlemen. Okay, I'm not gonna call them gentlemen. Those people's lives, right? And I guess if he didn't do that, she would have killed him. I guess. But Hulk, intervenes, and then suddenly she wakes up, and they have this little dialogue where Hulk is talking about himself being Smart Hulk. I didn't come up with this name. That's why I am now, Smart Hulk. And I don't know. I just, even though like that probably has ties in the comic books, like just that how that's presented and it making fun of itself, I don't know. It didn't really come off too well. Like just like with any movie right now, like the Hawkeye series, for instance, or even with Moon Knight. Sometimes, I mean, even though I did enjoy Moon Knight, like it just seems like they're always kind of crapping on the male characters nowadays. I don't know why, but you know, whatever. If it's about Hulk or Moon Knight, they always do it worse than some reason the female protagonist is, which I don't mind as long as it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like Sigourney Weaver is like probably one of my favorite female protagonists, but now it's just like they're trying to push it too hard where it doesn't feel natural. I don't know, just my opinion. But where else are we? So we're about 9 minutes in, and Hulk mentions that he called her parents, and that don't worry, I'd let them know that you're okay. And she doesn't really like call him right away. This seems like the only time we know that she actually talked to her parents was when she was already back, and she kind of talks in the fourth wall, and she says, "Yeah, my parents know, my friends know, and there hasn't been a Hulk incident yet." But it doesn't really show the dialogue or who her parents, are. Because in the comic books, I mean, obviously her dad died from the mob, so I wonder what they're gonna do with that origin, because it would have been a little bit more compelling, right? Like if something that like that did happen, kind of like a Peter Parker situation, is the reason why which she would turn into a hero. So I'm wondering why, because right now it shows like she doesn't have any interest in being a hero at all. So I wonder where they're going with that. Seems like they kind of disregarded a really good origin story in replace of a. I don't know. I don't know. I guess this is only the first episode, so I guess we'll see. But I'm not liking it so far. The comic book origin seems a lot more interesting. And there is one scene here where the Hulk does talk about healing his arm, and it's because Jen's blood um, metabolates the gamma in a different way, and it was able to heal his arms or heal his arm. And I have questions about that just by itself, like how is it able to heal that much damage from something that because from what I understand with She-Hulk, she's supposed to be less powerful, she's not as strong, so what in her blood Is it a healing factor? Does he heal faster? Because just like with Superman and Supergirl, like Supergirl metabolizes the sun better than Superman, which could give her, areas where she's better and stronger in some abilities, which makes sense, I mean, obviously, if she does metabolize the main source of their power better, then obviously she'll have different strengths than maybe Superman doesn't have. And here, it doesn't really portray that really well, in my opinion. It doesn't really give that explanation. She just comes across and says, "Oh, is it because I'm better?" And it just comes off really smug. And it's kind of funny that it comes off smug because, when Hulk says that I'm smart Hulk, she says, "Oh, you really sound kind of smug there," after saying that I'm better. Like, did you just not remember what you just said 2 seconds ago? Like, does that sound smug? But, anyways, the character is not really coming off very likable. Like they got to sell the character to be likable, and I don't know. In the first, like, we're 13 minutes in, she's not, in my opinion, not very likable. But you know, this is only first episode, so maybe it will get better. But another thing that happens after that scene is about 13 minutes in. She talks about anger and fear. you know, because that's what she does. She deals with in her daily life, just being a woman, as anger and fear. And there's a lot of like those moments in this show, in this episode, where I'm just rolling my eyes, and it's not good. Not good at all when the viewer is doing that. Hulk, after she transforms and she's able to retain her consciousness, Hulk says he's a little bit jealous, I guess. I mean, I kind of understand that. I mean, 15 years he's dealing with this problem. He had an alter ego, and she doesn't even have one. So she's, you know, great at this already. And funny, there is one scene here that I wrote here, and I'm reading some notes because there's just so much things that kind of made me roll my eyes that I wanted us to talk about. But they were practicing and they're doing this montage where she's training and practicing her abilities, and she slams on the ground and does man man. Like, I don't know what that means. Like, is she just mocking Bruce, or is she mocking men in general? Like, I don't understand like why that was her reaction when they were training. But there was a scene where they were slamming on the ground, and Hulk slams and then she slams, and I guess she kind of brags that she did a little bit better, and Hulk pushes her off and she flips the Hulk off. I gotta admit, I chuckled a little bit there. And then she's talking about how controlling anger, and you know that she has to deal with it on a daily basis, being catcalled, talking to incompetent men that she knows that she has better abilities than, and just controlling anger, more in general than Bruce, which kind of pissed me off because is this the same Bruce we're talking about? The Bruce that nearly killed himself or tried to kill himself? The one who's, lost several years of his life being an alter ego where he was just basically trapped in, I don't know, an abyss of consciousness, like having to deal with, I mean, if we're talking about the 2003, 2004 Hulk, having to deal with a father that killed his mother. I mean, like, I think he has to deal with a lot of anger himself. But that scene kind of ticked me off. Just to say that she deals a little bit more anger than he does on a daily basis, which I don't think is true. Um, I don't know, but she continues on. It says that she controls it better than he does, and she says that you're just projecting your own personal shit onto me that you can't control and I can control. So I mean, it's like really just crapping on the Hulk, which I don't know how I feel about. Um, And eventually they get into this fight scene, which I don't mind the fight scene. The fight scene was pretty decent, but after the fight scene, Hulk decides after tearing down or breaking their bar, after they rebuild the bar, Hulk just says, "Yeah, go ahead and go back to your life. You can control it. It's fine." So she goes back, and it cuts into her back in her office until where we originally started when we first started the show, and enters in Titania. Now, this character is very laughable. Like, it is very cartoonish. Like, I'm not saying like the actor did a bad job or anything. It's just the way she entered into the courtroom. There was no explanation why she was there. She just enters in, you know, basically waiting for She-Hulk to transfer. And if she's that strong, by the way, to slam into the courthouse, as powerful as it was, there's like a scene where the attorney's assistant to Jen was telling her to transform the She-Hulk. And you see in the background two, courtroom officers struggling with the girl, like actually, you know, almost, keeping her busy to the point where they're kind of holding her down, like trying to fight her basically. And my question is if she's as strong, which, her breaking into the courthouse like that shows she's as strong as maybe She-Hulk. How can those officers hold her back enough time for Jen and the attorney's assistant to have a dialogue? So I don't know. Like, wow. So, she throws the desk at the jury. She slaps it, throws it back at her, punches her. Well, oh, by the way, she does this, like, Charlie's Angels kick or Matrix thing. Titania does the She Hulk, and She Hulk punches her to end the fight, which was very, very laughable as well. So yeah, it's hard on this one. I don't like to talk negative about things. I mean, I've done some reviews where I talked about things I didn't like, but this is very sad. I didn't watch Miss Marvel yet, and I haven't watched all of Hawkeye. I've seen some reviews of Hawkeye, and it's just really sad, like to see a lot of the characters that we love being crapped on, uh, just for a joke or a punchline or an agenda or whatever, being woke. Um, just really sucks, because I'm a big, huge Marvel fan. I want Marvel to succeed. To be honest, I just want good stories. Like the characters, and you feel connected to the characters. And I don't know what they're doing nowadays. It just seems like they're straying really far away from that. So, after that, the show ends and you get to cut, the ending credits. And then you have this last scene where Hulk and She Hulk are talking at the bar and drinking, and she's acting like she's drunk. And this is the part I kind of chuckled at. She's acting really drunk, and Hulk, basically kind of concedes and says that Captain America is not a virgin, that he did have a relationship uh, uh, when he did that tour around America. And she says, "Aha, Captain America," and then she says basically the F word and cuts out. I did kind of chuckle at that part, but it was just like, I wonder why she is so interested. Does she have like a crush? Because like it doesn't really explain that. I guess she just really wanted to know, or she was really curious and had suspicions, but needed to scratch that curiosity. So I don't really know where the show's going, or you know where the story's going. It seems like they skipped a lot of the interesting parts of her origin story that could have been a lot more compelling to watch. It could have been really good, well, really nice to see on screen, like just being dramatized with the whole mob part of her storyline and her father, and fighting the mob and being killed for it. Like it just seems like it would have been a lot more of an interesting, storyline and interesting origin to tackle, you know. But anyways, guys, that's my opinion on it. It's only episode one, so I guess we'll see. If it continues on this though, just like with Resident Evil, I may not watch the rest of it. I'm gonna be doing a Moon Knight review. It's probably not gonna be as in depth as this one was, but I kid you not, like I wrote a whole page of things I just wanted to talk about, which we mainly covered. But yeah, it's just I just wish they would stop with the whole woke stuff and just tell the story, you know. And if they don't have any other bright ideas, then just follow the origin story in the comic books. I mean, there's a reason why those characters got, popular. It's because their origin story and their personality traits, we see them, we relate with them, And when you take those storylines and origins, and you take the pain away, of why they do what they do, and what motivates them. And it usually is from a painful past. And a lot of us, we all have painful past. We all have stuff we're dealing with. And when characters come out like She-Hulk, when they're kind of portraying her that she had the perfect life, she doesn't ever want to be a superhero. She doesn't really, she just, she wants to help people, but she wants to help people just being an attorney. She doesn't want this. So just like, where are you going to go with this character now? Like, something's either going to have to happen to her that's going to, push her into being a superhero, or they're just going to bypass that and she just suddenly decides to do it one day. Like, you're missing the point of telling a story. Like, if we have to, be relatable to these characters. And if they don't have something compelling to be relatable to, then we're not going to attach onto these characters like we did in the comic books. But anyways, guys, that's just my first thoughts and impressions on it. Hopefully, you guys did enjoy this video. If you guys did, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you on the next one.